Hello, I'm Valerie Hsiung. I am a poet, and today I'm going to read a little bit first from my book, To Love an Artist, which is out with Essay Press, and then I will read a little bit from this book, I Name Him Me by Ma Yen, translated by Stephen Nashef. My mother worked at a desk. My father worked at a desk. My mother's family owned desks, beautiful hand-carved desks, cabinets, bureaus, and they owned land when the Red Guards took over. They were considered land-owning intellectuals who needed to be imprisoned or executed in a public square publicly. Growing up, I would have terrible dreams. None of them included being labeled nebulously, not nebulously, Chinese trailer trash. All of my friends growing up were trailer trash or good Christian working class. Of course, I don't include the near classless Taiwanese American immigrant enclave I was also raised within. These breeders of ours had already been obliterated by someone else's class consciousness. Growing up, we weren't good enough to be with their middle class, so we occasionally settled for their trailer trash. We saw the hypocrisy. My first time alone in the new house, I invited a friend over to put on makeup together, a friend who would be considered trailer trash thus. I tried to remember everything I've already said. When I lie on my back now, I feel depositional to my own understanding of being seen. Having been, I am not alone. Even now, when I am completely alone, I feel nothing, spots all over, roughly, protracted and towards the wall. Advertisements would find no relief here, where gravity is worth more. The dryness in the air which consumes the dampness brings the lameness of the shadow back to the sun and wall, whose arrangement I had misconstructed. Odd then, being faced with it. And so when I approach like that, all of it can just vanish away from me. You take for granted things like cut fruit in a bowl in the mini fridge without cover. I will learn quickly. I am still learning. On the farm, I only ever lived on vegetable and roots, sometimes cheese, some cured fish. Two cheesemongers, a couple, who were not the only nomads of the village, of course, would come by to visit us quite frequently, sometimes once a week, sometimes twice. And when they did, they would bring us their cheeses, and I was fond of them and their visiting, as though it was my own home, one of them sharing my name freakishly. When the day turns into night, I think of the land, the pesticides all combed through, as well as what exactly it is that has nourished us for so long. The woman who let us through at the toll booth, which reminds me of the safety of another kind of booth and where we would be wanderers, says, "Go," before I change my mind. A laugh. I taste it in my mind, not like a lozenge, but like a licorice root. I have a friend. I have an old friend. I know the pied-à-terre has already been combed through by local authorities. Because I felt less perverted in that neighborhood, because I trust any perversion there would be more rooted, less separated from the core harshness of its belonging perversion, I know it's been combed through. I guess we speak of life en fuite. In 2013, I consciously left the City of Angels to consciously leave the City of Angels and don't look back. Heavens. As a clue, I no longer refer to Los Angeles as Los Angeles. Heaven has a friend. We are separated by degrees like math. In the car, I would learn of Toronto finally, and finally you of Las Vegas. I know someone who lives there I'd share in a pillar, someone very close to me. In the car, we give an audio tape you never returned to the New York Public Library, a try after years of it being overdue, though apparently unlistened to. I can't hear the author's own voice from the tape, so we eject the disc and decide to no longer listen to anything. My mother brushed her teeth too vigorously. My father brushed his teeth too vigorously. I brush my teeth efficiently, but conscious also of the delicateness of these gums. I brush my teeth not too vigorously, but not out of mutiny, out of learning. What does the meteor ask? My mother would open the door to strangers. My father would open the door to strangers. The anguish, the decoy lifting up a dirty penny within itself. And the poem continues, but it's a long poem, so I'm going to pause there. And now I will end on Ma Yan's I Name Him Me, a Chinese poet uh, who passed away quite young, I believe. I think maybe in 2010. And I think this is her first collection in English. Yeah, she was a Chinese Muslim poet. And I read this a couple of weeks ago and I was just so greatly moved. And it just made me think of the language that I grew up hearing in my home and feeling both like it was so familiar and strange at the same time. And I love that feeling that poetry can give us. Love poem. I was decidedly slashed by our closeness. It's not that there's no affection inside me, but at the moment it is in a process of gradual departure. The air has not become thinner. I mean, even water is see-through. Your breathing's so compact, it is sunny and clean. I tell you, I saw the sea. The sea is big. You leave and enter the crowd and lift both hands in the air at a stranger. Those two palms are a pristine white. I know full well this kind of love. Dusk in April. I've not seen this place before at dusk, a bare stretch of green, unfurled, flat, creaseless over the ground. Purple evening haze, thinning, slowly swallows the flat land, suspiciously dazzling. At the edge of a darkness on its way in, it sparkles, gives off a soft glare. This sight is not what you'd call beautiful, all foreign colors on display, but then in a flash, night arrives. We are wrapped in the safety of ignorance. A gray attic houses us. A gray attic houses us. In the morning, we read sad poems because sunlight is swallowing this bustling city. The dark that is ours is renouncing this patch of dry ground as we speak. Even the river is bursting with glimmers of light. Even the river renounces us. We hide behind curtains, lace tight our fingers, lace tight. Look, our lips are clenched white beneath teeth. Sunlight is preparing to shine on our bodies. We are reading sad poems. Our eyes are shut tight. A gray attic houses us. At noon, we read poems of suffering. Suffering is locked in under the roof. It can't find its own shadow, so it opens its mouth and curls into a ball. We detest one another as though you and I had never been lovers. We tear our own clothes into pieces and nestle into worn out old armchairs and search for the causes of dirt on each other's skin. But we keep turning away. We don't want the other to see. A gray attic houses us. In the evening, we read poorly structured poems. Our bodies are tired. Language has lost all of its flavor. We rock each other hard on our armchairs. We no longer love each other. Please buy me a jar of syrup, my darling. Please, for me. No, darling, please do not do that. Is the river not still rushing outside the window? The dark is storming in. My darling, it's too late for our little syrup jar to take a look at itself. It has shattered.